Hello and welcome to episode 4, in which we will now download our Mr. Handy model, to which we can then export it as an STL to print, and then we can assemble and actually have our Echo Dot holder in our hands. So let's not waste any more time and jump straight into it. Alright, so in order to download our model, we first need to find it, and to do that, if you click the link in the description, it should hopefully bring you to this page here. You'll be met with these images, which are renders and not of the real thing, and that's because I printed the articulated version as opposed to this original design. We both follow the same process, except with the original design, you'll be printing all the arm pieces as one instead of individually. So if we scroll down a little bit, this is where all the information is that you hopefully need in order to troubleshoot anything that you might have questions about. But what we're after is, if we just put 0 here and I want this, and then type in our email address, we can then click get. You might be asked to do a captcha, or it will just give it to you straight away. So the email you receive will basically just say view content, and when you click that button it will bring you to this page again, but then all you have to do is click download, and then that should now be in your downloads folder. So now that we've downloaded our model, we can either open up the downloads folder, or what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click this here. We should both do the same thing and open up our Blender file. And then this is what we will land on. So something I want you to be made aware of is this was modelled in Blender 5.1.1, which means if you open this up in anything earlier, things might be broken. I'm not sure what, because this is just some basic geometry with a child of constraint. As far as I'm aware, Blender 3.6 for example has this, but certain things with softwares just decide to break for no apparent reason. So yeah, and the other thing is we are working on the local axis. So with this one you won't necessarily notice it because this is on the Y and then the X goes straight through it. But with this one we've got our arm piece rotated by 120 degrees, so if we rotate it on the X you'll see that it's bends accordingly. However, if we had it on global first, you'll find that it doesn't bend the way we want it to. If we click X again, it does. But basically, yeah, just keep it on local and then you don't have to worry. So now we can move on basically to how we want to pose this. So you have basically two options. So you've got option 1, which is have the exact same arm shape for all 3 sides, in which we can basically just go here, here, maybe a bit there, and then rotate this up here. We don't need to print the equipment with it because the equipment that is held in place snaps into here. So you can print off, say, 2 flamethrowers and 1 buzzsaw, or you could have 3 manipulator arms. It's honestly up to you. They were designed to be universal, but basically what we can now do is we can select these arm pieces, File, Export, STL. We don't want to batch them because they are individual, so we want to export them all as one piece, but we do want the selection only. So if we just call this our Mr. Handy Echo Dot holder arm and then call this, say, universal, we can export that, and then if we open up our slicer, what we can do is we can drag this in and then we can click slice. So it's going to take approximately 3 hours, and then if we preview this, that is basically what it will look like. So then you'll basically just print this 3 times, and then you can just snap your equipment on accordingly. If you don't want to do that, what you can do is you can say model this one, and I'm just going to basically move this here, then move that in there, bring that up. I wouldn't advise making the armature or the arms too far away because you may knock them more easily, but basically as an extreme, if we move this far out, we can basically grab these, then we can do File, Export, STL, and then we'll just call this arm shape 1, for example. We'll export, then if we open this up, we can then bring this in, slice it, and then we have our arm shapes accordingly. So they are designed to be separate, and originally they were because they were meant to be snap fit, and these will hopefully all print as one piece, because what I've done is I adjusted the design. So if we hide this arm part number 2, we'll see that arm part number 1 has this pipe, if you want to call it, going through it. So that means that will go through arm part number 2, and then basically that won't budge or move. So with this original design, the weight of the arms alone meant that this basically started going flat like that, and then basically it just became a bit useless. So that is why there are 2 versions, one that's fully articulated and snap-on fits are grippier, whereas this is more so for if you want the original design but basically you want it to be posed this way. So unfortunately you will have to print it all as one arm piece. One other thing to maybe make note of is, for example, over here we'll find that we have got these ridges for basically this to snap onto, but the weight on the end might still be a bit overbearing, causing our arm pieces to sort of fall like that. So one thing that you could do is either glue it in place with some extra strong glue, or if you're feeling up to it, one other thing that you could do is basically select some of these faces down the side, extrude them out, scale them on the Y, and then if you just snap them over to here, and it just means that when you attach them to the shoulder, they can't rotate this way or that way, and they'll be stuck in place. You can either do that for both sides so that it definitely doesn't move, but if, for example, we have our Mr. Handy facing goes up this way, then you still get the nice clean side as opposed to having this sort of jump towards the end here that prevents it from moving. Honestly, it's up to you. And then basically what we can do is we've exported our arm pieces, so we now know how to do that. And then the other thing that we can do is we can just export this, 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 and this. So if we just select those, then we need this, this, and then if you want the hat, you can do that. And now if we go to File, Export STL, now we want to click Batch, and then what we can do is we can call this Mr. Handy echo.holder underscore, and then it will be I, and then it will be bowler hat, it will be manipulator arm sort of thing. So if we just export like that, and then what we can do is we can look at our folder here, which it is Mr. Handy echo.holder, bowler hat, buzzsaw grip, cradle thruster. And then if we open up our Creality software again, then what we can do is select these, and then we can just drag them in one at a time. So we can go bowler hat, and then we can slice, and then we save it to our removable drive, which I currently don't have in my computer at the minute. But basically this is the process that you'd go through. It's up to you how you want to orientate these. I have a couple of ugly sides to some of my prints, and that's because I prioritised print speed over quality, I suppose. So if I was to slice this, for example, it is only 12 minutes, but for example, if we were to print it on its flat there, it's only 6 minutes. That one's a bit of an extreme scenario. It was more sort of like the cradle thruster, for example. So if we slice this, we'll generate supports all around, so that's 5 hours and 50 minutes. But if we were to print it upside down, it's now 3 hours, so you save on filament and on time. So now that we've done that, we can now look at what we can do for the articulated model. And for putting it together, basically I'm going to showcase the assembly with the articulated model, because it's the same process with this one, it's just got a few extra steps. Alright, so now that that's dealt with, so just like our original model, if we want to download our articulated model, we need to find it. So again, if you click the link in the description for the articulated model, it should hopefully bring you to this page here. This is one that we have actually printed, and these will be the images. We have got videos of basically showcasing this. So this is my personal favourite because you can just change how you want it to look depending on whether you want to change its sort of pose. So same as before, basically this is the information that you basically need to know, and then if we just put 0 here and then I want this, then what we can do is we can type in our email, and then if we click get, so this is the scenario where we need to do a capture possibly, or not, and then yeah, same as before, we can now just click download. So now that we've downloaded our file, we can either open up our downloads folder or we can click here, and then you should both open up the Blender file that contains our articulated model. So this is where we land. So the difference with our original model and this one is with our original we had to sort of pose it by, you know, rotating here, rotating there, rotating here, and then printing it so it's fixed in place. However, with this one, it is just a simple process of we just need to select one set of the arms. We need to select the equipment. We need to select the stand, the thruster, the cable holder, the eye, and the bowler hat if you really want to. So remember, this is the reference of our Echo Dot. And then basically what we have to do is File, Export, STL, and then this is going to be our articulated STL. And then what we want to do is we want to make it a batch, so they're all a different file basically. So we're just going to call this our Mr. Handy Echo Dot Holder articulated model underscore selection only, even though yes, it does want to be selection only because we don't want to export any of this. So selection only, batch, and then apply modifiers, so our solidify and our bevels and all that, and then we can export STL. Then if we open up our Creality software, meanwhile I will open up my Windows folder and find our articulated STLs. So this is what we'll have. We have arm 1 to 5, bowler hat, buzzsaw grip, cable holder. So for example, if we want to put arm part 5 in, we just need to do that and then click slice. And then what we can do is we'll save to our removable drive. Again, I don't have my removable drive in here, and I've already printed this to begin with. So basically what we can then do is once we've basically brought everything in and then we, you know, slice it and print it, we can then look at assembling it. So I've already done the assembly in a previous video, so I'm just going to put that exact same bit of footage back in because it's no different. The only thing I will basically say is if you are here for the original model design, basically what you'll have is you'll have your arm pieces, or arm piece because it's all in one, and you just need to snap it onto the shoulder part, and then you need to snap your equipment onto arm part 5, whereas in the actual whole assembly video what you'll see is we basically attach arm part 1 to arm part 2 to arm part 3 to arm part 4 to arm part 5. So that's what I mean by how our original design is the same as our articulated model, but the articulated model has extra steps. So, like I say, I'll upload the assembly of everything being put together, and then hopefully you'll have a functioning Mr. Handy Echo Dot holder. So, I'm going to preface this with, this is our old arm, so as you can see it's somewhat held in place, but you know, you move that there, you can see that quickly moves. You can just see every individual part move. If we hold it here though, you can see that you can move that way you want, this way you want, and then as you can see there's too much play there, but yeah, so, oh, that's new, so it's now literally going straight down. So that's our old arm piece, and then what we've got here is our new arm piece where we can literally hold it on the end. And then, yeah, if we just straighten all this up, you can see it's quite straight. This is our other built piece. This is our flamethrower, so which I have just now realised is possibly upside down. That's it is. I think this this is the wrong way. That should be that way. No wonder it went on quite nice. So yeah, the reason why 2 of these arm pieces are already pre-built is because they can be a bit of a pain to get on. So I was going to build 1 arm piece together. There we go. So that's caught my glove, because why wouldn't it? We've now got a punch on that one, but that's fine. So anyway, now we've got our flamethrower the right way, and that's kind of perfect because with our other arm piece, arm part 2 and 3 are already together because they are probably the hardest pieces due to that little bridge there. So yeah, like I say, we can build our other remaining parts. So I just need to pull the support off of here. There we go. It could be a lot neater, but this again is more of a assembly video, so we also need to pull the supports off of here. These ones are quite nice. They do actually just snap off. There you go. Just like that. So anyway, we have arm part number 2 and 3 here. So we know that these are the newer parts, so this can basically go in the bin. I mean, quite cool, but yeah, that can basically disappear because now we've got these. So if I remember correctly, that goes on the outside. So then we just need to attach this into there. There we go, snap fit, as you can see, held in place. And then arm part number 1, never mind, this isn't going in the bin because we need arm part number 1. There you go. So this is now in place. So that's all of our arms constructed. I've already torn off quite a few of the supports with this. You can see the inside is quite clear as well. And then I've also done the honour of taking that out. That came off quite nicely. So again, I can just disappear over there. And then lastly, we can do the eyes. So I'm not sure why these straggly bits of support come out everywhere. I might have to have a look, but as you can see, it's basically flat. So yeah, I'll just maybe time-lapse removing these. Okay, so we have now pulled the supports off the eye, so it's a matter of just building now, I imagine. So I think we're better putting an eye on than an arm piece, if I'm honest. So what we'll do is we'll put this eye on first, and I think I can see there's been a bit of support that hasn't been removed there, so we'll just quickly trim that away. And now if we put it on, there we go, so that's on. And then what we can do is we'll do this one for the buzzsaw. So I think these ones are going to be a little tight. We'll soon find out. Okay, I think it was as simple as that, if I'm honest. So, what we might actually need to do is just put this on our stand, thinking about it. And then what we can do is we can position the arm accordingly. So, yep, put that on there, and then we can whee. So, if we just fold our first arm part down, and then if we just bring this up, you know, now that I think about it, there's probably a reason he is the way he is. So if we just bring that up there. So, whoops, I think I've just nudged the camera. So that's there. So now we can do maybe this side. And again, I think that's a bit of support that's been left behind. And then if we just what I'm thinking is we need to spin this. There we go. So now that's on, and then what we'll do is we'll do our flamethrower arm this time, I think. So like I said, there's probably a reason why his arm is the way it is. So what we'll do is sort of basically mimic that. So what we can do is attach arm piece number 2 or arm piece number 1 into here. Look at that, snap. Okay, so I'm thinking we'll actually do the last arm first, and then we'll put the eye on after, because the arms appear to be a lot easier. So, and of course it'll be the last one that proves to be an issue. Right. Just bend that way. Yeah, we can't really see this because obviously it's too sort of splayed out, but what we can do now is this eye already trimmed. Let's see. So, oh yeah, that was straight in. However, I think this one's one of the weaker ones. Alright, and then lastly, we can put our echo dot. Oops, keep knocking the camera. We can now put our echo dot in here, like so. And then lastly, if we grab our cable, in fact I'll show it from this direction, so I'm just going to put the cable in, and then if we just stick it somewhere about here, and then lastly we've got, wow, you really can't see anything with this, so if we put our little cable grip there, and then what we can do is, like I say, we can just get our cable and then tuck it in there, and voila, we have now constructed our own Mr. Handy. Alright, so now that we've printed and built our Mr. Handy Echo Dot holder, we can now basically give it a quick review. So with our original static model, we basically just need to pose it in the software and then print the arms in place as they are. Whereas with our articulated model, we just need to print off the pieces and then we pose it to how we want in the real world, basically. Some things that you can do is, mine is basically this grey, so you can paint it with spray paint, model paint, anything of that kind. You could even print it with a different filament if that's what you wanted to do. I only tend to print with the one colour. I've printed off some sort of like the aperture from a camera for the eyes, just to basically further make it look more like the in-game model. There's a few things that you can do with this model as well, as in, you know, it is yours to basically play around with. You can basically add spikes, say, to the shieldy parts, almost like you've got the Automatron DLC. We already have the hat, but yeah, you can change the equipment out. As long as you've got the initial part that gets gripped by arm part number 5, you could add a injector style item. You could even leave it blank. You could add your own weapon that you've made. What you can also do is ignore the Echo Dot side of this and print off the head as well and turn him into a phone holder, pen holder, or a calculator holder. The functions of this print isn't purely for the Echo Dot, despite that being the original purpose of the model. You could still use the Echo Dot part and keep him as a phone holder. The choice is basically yours. I will also upload the FBX files. It wasn't in this video, but it's only because I've just realised that if you want to use a different 3D software, then you can. It also means you don't have to install Blender, for example, just to get access to the files as well. So you can either just use the FBXs or you can use the Blender file. It's up to you. So yeah, just iterate with it and have fun with it. But the only thing that I will say is basically this is still Bethesda's IP, so don't sell it, but at the same time, I'm not your boss, I suppose. So yeah, that should bring us to the end of everything, and thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one.